So with that, it is 5:59. I'm so happy that Ann is here tonight. And so Ann Nevins, our president, take it away.
All right, great. Well, welcome everyone. It's really wonderful to be here tonight with Marla and with our colleague Quinn, who has, I think, muted herself behind the scenes, but is there to make sure that everything runs smoothly. So Marla and Quinn have put a tremendous amount of work and effort into the webinar this evening, the one that we held last night, the one that we're going to do again tomorrow night, with the aim of bringing you all this information in a really timely, accurate way before the Paycheck Protection Program reopens again on Monday. So that's why we're here all weekend long to bring you this information. And a little bit more about Quinn and Marla, so you can know who's really behind the scenes at PIDC making all of this work. Quinn's our graphic designer, and she's responsible for communicating a lot of often very complex information in as clear and as understandable a way as possible. And she has also stepped up in many different ways, as so many of our staff have, and I know many of you all have had to do as well in this situation, as we've translated all of our in-person content that we normally might bring you from our offices into webinars and online-based communications. And so Quinn has really been behind the scenes making all of that happen, along with a number of other colleagues. And of course, Marla, you all know, I think, is PIDC's Vice President for Client Engagement. And Marla has really been working tirelessly to bring critical information to PIDC's clients and to the Philadelphia business community throughout this whole crisis, really from day one. And Marla is incredibly focused on bringing high quality presenters and advice and insights that small businesses can really trust. So if this is your first time participating in one of these sessions, although I think based on the warm greetings that Marla was giving with everybody, I think she already knows everyone, but if any folks are joining us in progress and this is your first time connecting or participating, I would strongly encourage you to make sure that you connect with Marla, that you stay connected with PIDC. So we are particularly excited, again, as I mentioned, to bring you this very timely and I think critical information about the Paycheck Protection Program, and specifically to do that in partnership with Lendistry and the resources that they have available to deploy to businesses specifically in Philadelphia. I want to just give a little bit of a brief background on Lendistry and then introduce our presenter. So Lendistry was founded in 2014 by Everett Sands. And the organization has a mission of helping small business owners in underbanked communities get the funds and the business support that they need to grow. Lendistry is a minority-owned, technology-enabled community development financial institution, or a CDFI, which PIDC is as well, locally based here in Philadelphia. And it ranks second nationwide in SBA Community Advantage lending, which provides responsible financing to small business owners and their underserved communities. And Lendistry is also a member of the Federal Home Loan Bank of San Francisco. They are headquartered in Los Angeles, although their founder has some Philadelphia ties and background. And so is focused on the East Coast as well, Baltimore, in addition to Philadelphia. So this past week, the City of Philadelphia and Goldman Sachs, through the 10,000 Small Businesses Program, announced a $10 million initiative to provide Paycheck Protection Program, or PPP, loans for small businesses based here in Philadelphia through capital provided to Lendistry. So we are very happy to have them Lendistry join us tonight, and I am very pleased to introduce to you this evening our main presenter, Constance Anderson. So Constance is an experienced community economic development and banking executive who worked successfully in the Southern California market for most of her career. She previously, prior to joining Lendistry, had worked at Pacific Coast Regional as the director of the Small Business Development Center, leading the #1 SBDC in the state of California. That organization provided workshops, extensive one-on-one consulting engagements, and other resources to the business community. Constance had been with PCR since 2002 prior to joining Lendistry, and was instrumental in developing the Entrepreneurial Training Institute educational programs, as well as managing development and communications activities for the organization. She became the director of the SBDC in 2007 when PCR was designated as a small business development center by the U.S. Small Business Administration. And then prior to joining PCR, Constance has had a successful career as a banker, eventually attaining the position of vice president and community investment officer, where she was responsible for all CRA activities for the bank. Constance also served as Vice President and Regulatory Risk Manager at California Federal Bank, and as Compliance Manager, Bank Secrecy Act Officer, and Community Reinvestment Act Officer at First Los Angeles Bank. So clearly an incredibly impressive background, and we are thrilled to have Constance with us this evening to help bring you all this critical information about the Paycheck Protection Program and the partnership with Lendistry. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Constance, and I know that Marla will also jump in and help moderate the conversation and make sure everybody has an opportunity to get all of their questions answered. Thank you once again for being with us this evening, and Constance, I shall turn it to you.
Thank you, Anne. You threw me off with that resume. Wow.
It's really impressive.
You made me feel very old, okay? At any rate, it is part of what I've done. I appreciate the opportunity to share the information that I'm going to share with your audience. And I welcome the opportunity. We believe in supporting small businesses, primarily minority-owned businesses and businesses that are typically considered underserved or unbanked. And let's just roll with the presentation. So basically, let me just share a little bit about the SBA Paycheck Protection Program. The program was designed specifically to help those employers that have employees that would basically lose their jobs or not be employed as a result of them having to close their doors. The Paycheck Protection Program provides 2 months plus some other funding to the employer so that they can keep their employees on board. The program basically is designed, let's move to page 2, please, advance. The program was designed to support all small businesses in the Payroll Protection Program. So when you think about payroll protection, what you should think about is all the fees that are involved in paying your employees. That consists of salaries, wages, commission, tips, paid vacation, medical, sick leave, group health insurance or group health benefits, retirement, and taxes. So think of it this way. Anything that you pay on behalf of the employee is an allowable dollar amount that you can apply for through the PPP program. You can also include payment of interest on any mortgage, rent, utilities, interest on any debt incurred prior to February 15, 2020. Refinancing of a loan made between January 1st, 2020 is not going to be considered forgiven, but you can go ahead and apply and use those funds to help your business to move forward. Advance, please. The application process on our website at www.mylendistry.com. On our website, you will find that our processes, we have a resource tab, we have guidance on different types of entities, also on our website. What I'd like to ask everyone to do is familiarize yourself with the website, familiarize yourself with the documentation that you're going to need for your particular entity in order to apply for a PPP loan. The screen that you're looking at right now breaks it down for you as far as the payroll documentation is concerned. We are going to need to see 12 months of your payroll summary. Payroll summary can be looked at in a number of different ways. Payroll summary could be you're using a payroll organization to pay your employees, but it could also be a spreadsheet or a document that you could ask your CPA or your tax preparer to help you with. We are going to want to see the health insurance benefits that you pay. Basically, just you get a monthly statement. If not, you're at least getting a yearly statement of the fees that you're paying on behalf of your employee. We need to see that, and you want us to see it because it is part of the funds that you could receive during the Payroll Protection Program. One of the other things that we are going to be looking at is your 2018 tax returns. All of you should have your 2018 tax returns. Some of you may not have your 2019 tax returns, in which case we are going to ask you to provide us with your Schedule C for 2019. Let's see, we'll also be looking for your IRS Form 940 and your IRS Form 941. Those documents clearly outline the employees that you're paying in which there are taxes being paid on their behalf. For sole proprietors, we're going to need the 1099 proof of payroll records. So if you're getting paid through a 1099, then you want to have all of those documents in order for you to be able to apply as a sole proprietor. The corporate documents that we're looking for are the corporation documents, the articles of incorporation, your fictitious name filing, and if it's a partnership, we'd like to see the partnership agreement. You can also use the fictitious name filing statement in the instance that you are a sole proprietor. There's a number of SBA applications out there. When we started this program, that document was revised probably at least 4 times. And the correct document that you should be looking at is the SBA Form 2483. There is an addendum to that document, Addendum A and Addendum B. There are other additional documents if you have an ownership. If there's any other person that has 20% ownership or more, you will need to have them complete the addendums as well. Let's see. We talked about the tax returns already. Can we scroll up a little bit? Oh, it's not. Okay. At any rate, the documents are there. We have explained them to you. If you have questions, you have access to the PIDC group as well as the Lendistry group and the center in which I am the president of. Next slide, please. We finally got the documentation on what would be required for sole proprietors. That's what we're looking at right now. Next slide. You can see the documentation for sole proprietors is a little less intensive. And we're looking at sole proprietors with no employees. We need to see their 2019 1040 and their 2019 1040 and their 2019 Schedule C. Schedule C is a part of your tax return. So instead of asking for the full tax return for 2019, we're only asking you to provide Schedule C. Schedule C is available through your tax preparer, your CPA, or your accountant, and it's just one document. And what we have found is that just calling them or sending them an email and letting them know that you need that in order to apply has not been a laborious thing for your tax preparer to do. If you have employees, you're going to need to to follow the following instructions. You can be a sole proprietor and have employees. We are going to want to see that Schedule C. We're going to want to see the 941 and any documents that support how you pay your employees. If you have people on your team that are 1099 paid or independent contractors, you should ask them or let them know that they're able to apply for payroll protection on their own, because you cannot claim them. So they'll need to complete the documentation and apply on their own. Let's see. Photo ID. You are going to need to take a picture of your photo ID front and back. It is part of the documents that you'll be using to upload for the application. I just got to pop up on my screen. Okay. Advance, please. I mentioned this earlier. We have a resource guide on our website. It's on the very first page of the website. And I truly, truly hope that you'll all look at the resource guide, look at the documentation checklist prior to applying. It's really important that you are able to complete the documentation in its entirety so that there's no lag in you getting approved.
Constance, would you, do you want to take questions as they come in, or do you want to wait till the end?
Let's go for it. Questions are good.
Okay, we have a question. I see a raised hand from Deborah. I'm going to unmute you, Deborah. Oh, okay. In the chat, she said, okay, we answered Deborah's question from the chat.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
But I do see a raised hand from Karen. I'm going to unmute you, Karen. Karen, are you able to unmute on your end?
Okay, is that better now?
Yep.
Great, thank you. I have a client who is managing her late husband's business, which he was the sole owner of, and it is currently in probate. How should that documentation of ownership be reflected in a submission?
I honestly don't feel comfortable answering that question.
Okay.
I would suggest you actually probably talk to someone with a little bit more legal experience than I do. I do have a legal advisor on our team. And if you'd like to have a conversation with that, just send me an email and I can forward your information to him and he will try and answer that question.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Also, I'd like to add that that is something that we are not familiar with. So we're probably going to have to research it as well. But we're happy to try.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we had a question earlier from Brian in the chat box. He had two questions. He said, I submitted my application to Lendistry yesterday. How do I make sure it is a part of the initiative for Philadelphia? My company is less than 1 year old and we have not had to file taxes yet. So what do we need in lieu of that?
So what did I do? Well, basically, you're going to need the same information to the best of your ability. You're eligible to apply if you were in business prior to February 15, 2020. They're still going to look at your average payroll, hoping that you file tax returns. I think you said you were open in 2019. So maybe you haven't filed taxes yet. So then we're going to look at other payroll documents, bank statements, payroll documents. All of those documents are explained in our resource guide. So pull the ones that make sense to you. And then there's a portal open that you can upload those documents. Or you can wait and allow the person that's going to be reviewing the documents to let you know what's missing. It does slow down the process, but if you'd like to go that route, you can, or you can use our resource guide and make sure you've uploaded the appropriate documents.
Okay, we're good for now with questions.
Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, who can apply? Small businesses with less than 500 employees are able to apply. That includes sole proprietors, independent contractors, eligible self-employed individuals, nonprofits, veterans organizations, and tribal business concerns. They had to have been in operation prior to February 15th of 2020. What will be forgiven? Will loans be forgiven fully? This is a payroll protection program, and I must stress how important it is that you use those funds specifically for those reasons. At least 75% of the funds that you're applying for should cover the costs or the wages of your employees, and that includes sick leave, vacation, retirement, medical, and their payroll or their income. So in addition to that, you can also use some of the funds for rent, utilities, interest payments on a mortgage, and insurance. As long as you use the funds primarily, 75% will automatically be forgiven if you use it for payroll. Keep in mind, that's what the program was designed for, and there are not really any exceptions to that. The part that is not forgiven can be a true hardship for a small business as a result of the fact that the interest rate is low. It is 1%, but it needs to be paid back in a term of 2 years. On average, if you're borrowing or your PPP application is approved at say $100,000 and at $200,000 and $100,000 is used any way other than what I've explained earlier, then now you're on the hook for a loan that will be turned into a term loan for 1% over 2 years, which averages out to being about $4,000+ per month for 2 years. And we see that as a tremendous hardship for a small business. So think of it that way. Get the funding, absolutely, but do your very, very best to use it for payroll.
We have a couple questions that popped up, Constance.
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna unmute Joan. Joan, you might have to unmute on your end as well.
Well, I've been talking away. Constance,
There we
nice
go.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I run the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program here in Philadelphia.
Yay!
And
What was your name again? I'm sorry.
Joan Creste.
Okay, all right,
I
wonderful.
apologize for my attire. So we have many of our alumni who applied to banks and were told that their loan was not fully processed. They don't understand. In other words, the bank may or may not have completed the processing at their end, and they may or may not have submitted that to the SBA. So now they want to know under what circumstances can they apply to, say, this particular program or any other bank. So in this case, it would be for this program, and I certainly will steer the Philadelphia ones this way.
Wow. Well, it's a great question. And what we're trying to do is make sure that there's no double applications out there. What I'm not clear on is whether or not the bank is saying they're waiting for this new money to come down, or if they're not going to make their loan, or if there's something wrong with their application that's causing it to be delayed. I would like to say that anyone can apply at Lendistry. But if you fill out the application will ask you if you've applied anywhere else. And in that application, once you check off the box that says you have, we ask you to stay with that lender. Mostly because it's a lot of work. If if your application is being processed in one place, as soon as they start to upload your documents into E-Tran, and then we upload your documents into E-Tran, and E-Tran is the SBA portal that all lenders are using in order to get the funding done. So now we're looking at you, and they might even consider it as somewhat fraud that you're trying to double dip. So if you can end your application with the other organization, you might be better off than leaving it open and moving on to another organization.
So that's the trick. They have to end their application with the first bank that they went to, the bank that they weren't successful in getting the money from. Thank you.
That's my suggestion. I haven't had that question asked before, so I don't know if there's a concrete answer, but I know that we would like not to work with clients that have an open application someplace else.
Constance, may I jump in on that one as well? Because the same question has definitely been coming up a lot in the last couple of days. And I actually had a conversation with Everett on exactly that topic. I've also talked about that with Andy Racklin at Reinvestment Fund, who is going to be, Reinvestment Fund is also going to be opening up on Monday for applications in Philadelphia. They're serving a handful of markets as well for small businesses. They're going to have a webinar on Monday. We're promoting that on social media as well. And so because the Lendistry and Reinvestment Fund, they're two newer entrants for Philadelphia into the market, we did a survey of PIDC's clients that Marla really led and put together with our marketing team. And we found that almost 60% of the businesses who had applied to PPP were still waiting to hear. So Joan, I think that that's, certainly the case for a lot of the folks that you're talking about. One of the suggestions that Everett had specifically was if we, either PIDC or Lendistry or Joan, yourself and the relationships that you have and the 10KSB program has with the banks, if there's any way to help some of the business owners really sort out and get an answer as to whether their application has been submitted or started to be submitted through that E-Tran process, that's at least a way that we could help people figure out what their status is, because I do think that there's a tremendous amount of confusion. People don't want to have, a double application in the system and get bumped out. But I think it's been very difficult for folks to know from the responses that they're getting to date where they are in that process. So I've been thinking a lot about how we can try to help folks on that front. Marla and I maybe can talk a little bit about that. And maybe Joan, we can brainstorm and sort of quickly over the next 24 hours or so, try to help figure out how we can help people at least understand where they are so that they know if they should move forward with Lendistry, move forward with Reinvestment Fund, move forward, with another bank, whatever their option might be at this point. Without getting themselves into a situation where they're submitting double applications. So I just wanted to.
My other suggestion, thanks Ann, would be that if they can reach out to their lender. I have some business owners here that I've been working with. Some of them had relationships with a financial institution. And I know, for instance, I think they said Bank of America, they were able to send an email to the person that they submitted the application with to find out the status. So if you have a relationship with someone at that financial institution, that may also work. Just an idea. With us, I can tell you that within, we were at about 72 hours. We're a little bit faster now. You would get a notification from us. You can also go into the portal with us and see the status of your application. Something that I'm going to go through with you in a few minutes, how we go through the processing. So with us, and I would like to think that the banks have a similar way of helping you to understand what the status of your application is.
Okay, this next question is from Elizabeth.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I've got a couple questions. I'm going to read them really fast. So in terms of hiring people back, are there any restrictions on the number of people that you can hire? Or like, so if I had a staff of 10, right, and half of them are like, I want to be on unemployment, this is great for me, I don't want to get hired back. And can I replace it with less people or higher pay? Can I hire one person to replace 10? How does that work? And then if after 8 weeks, if my business is still not recovered, do I need to keep them on payroll for any certain number of time? And then my second question is about if one of my employees, and this is a real life scenario, one of my employees actually works part-time for me and works full-time for somebody else. And that company got a PPP loan that's paying them to work full-time, and my company would generally keep them on payroll part-time. We both are funding this person with the PPP loan. I'm wondering if that will be a conflict later.
I'm pretty sure that would be a conflict later, because
Okay.
you're paying both of them, paying the same person twice from two different sources. But the first part of your question was about the number of employees. The Triple P program requires that the number of employees that you had at the time that you applied for the PPP program, at the time that you asked for forgiveness, you must have the same number of employees. They could be new employees, they could be older employees. The other caveat that's in there, you cannot pay them less than 25% of what you applied for. So if they were making $10 an hour, you can lower their salary by 25%, and that's it. But it's based on the number of employees.
Okay, so is there any part of that, like let's say that I had 10 employees, and I'm going to hire 10 employees back, and some of them are going to work less amount of hours and some of them are going to be paid higher and work more. Is it just the amount, does it have to sync up with how everybody was working previously?
I don't think it needs to sync up with how they were working. Number one, keep in mind, number of employees. In order for your loan to be forgiven, you're going to be asked to prove the number of people that are on your staff, the wages that you're paying them, and they're going to look at that. And if you're still at 75% or more of what you applied for, you're fine.
Got it. Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, the next question is from Janaya.
Hello, Janaya.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So one of my questions just got answered with the last one. But the first question I had was, can owners be on payroll? And I apologize if you covered this already because I came in about 15 minutes ago. But can owners that were previously on payroll, can they be provided some of the funds as well? And then I just wanted to confirm, you have 8 weeks to actually utilize the funds, and that just that timeline from that June 30th of when you have to hire folks back were my two questions.
June 30th is correct. And the first part of the question was, can the owner be an employee? And the answer is yes.
Okay, so they can be paid from PPP as owners if they were already on payroll, just like
exactly
the other employees. Okay, so they're part of that 75%. They're not taken out of that.
Right. As long you remember now, there is a cap on the salary of $100,000. You can still be part of the Payroll Protection Program, but they're going to not include any dollars over $100,000.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Okay. We have a question in the chat box from Brian. I don't see his hand raised, so I'll read his question from the chat box. He says, I am a sole member, LLC, one employee, and my income is to be reported on my taxes, personal taxes, and we have not had to file yet. What happens in that case as far as documentation you would need?
Okay, I'm a little bit confused by the question, but I'm going to try and answer what I think he's asking. And it sounds like he's being paid through the company. And if he is, that's the same question, just put differently as the woman asked a few minutes ago, and that is if you can prove that you're paying yourself through your company, then you can apply that way as an employee.
Okay.
As an employer that has an employee.
Okay. We have 2 more raised hands. We have, the next one is Suzanne.
Hi, Suzanne.
Suzanne, you'll have to unmute on your end as well. There we go.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So my question follows up with Joan's question in that we put an application in with Republic Bank on April 8th, and we thought we would go through on the first round. We did not go through. They said that we would be the first ones going in the next round. We're not a customer of theirs, so I'm a little bit leery when we ask, like when we try to speak to anyone there, no one ever like calls you back. So I really like to try to pull my application from there because I know in fact they haven't submitted us yet. What do you recommend?
So you're saying, for clarity purposes, you're saying that you have not received any communication whatsoever from the financial institution?
We received the communication when we said, like when we were trying to find out where we were, and their communication to us just was, you're going to be submitted in the next round.
Okay, so that basically means that in some cases we're in the same position. When the government ran out of money, it meant we had open applications per se in our portal that we would have liked to have funded, but did not have the funds to do that. So a lot of those people will get funded on the first round. They will be the first come, first serve. And the applications that come in afterwards will follow those that are already in the portal. I'm assuming that that's what they mean. If you can't speak to them, I don't know how you can withdraw your application. If you have no way of communicating with them, I don't know how you'd go about doing that. And you don't want to have open applications. You don't want us to start working on it, get an approval, and then go into what's called eTrans, which is the SBA site, and find out that you have an approval someplace else. They may not have funded it yet, but you have no way of knowing if they haven't already approved it.
Right. So this is my frustration, that we're trying to make decisions, but we're operating in the dark. And I feel that if for some reason we don't go through again, that because I didn't take any action, that we'll be out the money.
I clearly understand that, but I would suggest, this is just a suggestion, that you do your best to try and figure out what the status of your application is with Republic Bank.
Great. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, the next person is Star. Star, I'm gonna unmute you. You have to, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi. So my question, I think, piggybacks on prior questions. I've never been on my own payroll before because of, the cost of it. I've always taken an owner's draw. And now it seems I would like to put myself on payroll. Can I count myself in the head count and kind of rejigger that if I haven't been on payroll previously?
No, you would have had to have been on payroll as of February 15th of this year.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I hate hearing that. I'm trying to figure out what to tell you to do in the future. The draws, we're waiting on some guidance on that as to whether or not draws work in this instance. And that may have changed and I'm not aware of it. But it's a possible, I would say check back with us. Or if you want to send me an email, I'll do a little research on it unless one of the other providers has an answer for you. I don't.
Okay. And then just to confirm, it sounds like as long as we keep some parity with the old payroll, we can restructure. I mean, I see this as an opportunity to kind of make some better job descriptions and restructure a little bit. And that's possible if we're still paying out in payroll sort of at the same levels. Is that right?
As long as the number of employees are exact or more than what you applied for in the application. The goal is for you to bring back your employees.
Oh,
Keep
wow.
that in mind. The goal was supposed to be that you bring back the employees that are no longer with you so that they can be paid. In some cases, if they don't want to come back, then the expectation is you will hire someone to replace that individual. But it's the key thing is if you had 5 employees between the period of February 15th and 6:30, you need 5 employees at 6:30.
But it doesn't have to be the same people, right?
No, but keep in mind, they would have to say, you know, or not come back. So, and we have the expectation that a lot of employees, those that could, have already found other jobs, so they're not coming back. So then your responsibility is to bring your employees back up to the same number.
Okay. And if we get this, obviously someone's going to give us a playbook on this money.
A playbook?
So like, you know, so that all these rules, we will be given the details of.
Well, the details are basically on our website. Okay. It's pretty, I think it's pretty clear, but then I help put it there. But I think it's pretty clear, but at the same time, the most important thing for you to remember is you want to stay within the guidelines of the reason for you getting the funding. So the guidelines are use the money for payroll, utilities, rent, mortgage insurance, I think there was not mortgage insurance, interest on debt, that is business, and any other kind of insurance that you would have within the business. As long as you're using the money for the business and at least 75% is going toward employee wages and the number of employees does not decline, you'll be in great shape. What's going to happen is when you go to your lender and you ask for forgiveness after June 30th, your lender is going to ask you for some of the same documentation that you gave us up front, or you gave your lender up front. They're going to do a comparison test. They're going to look at your bank statements. They're going to look at your 940, your employee summary, and that's how they're going to determine what can be forgiven. And did you say you were on the line when we got started, or you were not?
On the payroll line, you mean?
No, on the phone, on the conference.
No, I wasn't here at the beginning, no.
Okay, so I mentioned that it's really important that you stay within those guidelines, because if you don't, you're going to, the balance of the loan that's not forgiven is going to turn into a term loan at 1% interest paid over 2 years, which can be a hefty payment or impact on your cash flow and payroll. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Constance, that's such an important point. And I know I asked you to use your calculation yesterday twice. Can you go back to exactly what it means if your expenses are not forgiven and it ends up being a term loan at 1% for 2 years, what that really looks like on your cash flow?
Sure. Well, yesterday, I believe I used a $200,000 PPP loan. So in other words, if you receive $200,000 and you can only prove that you use 100,000 of that for in the areas that are allowed. So that's payroll, wages, benefits, medical, sick leave, group health benefits, retirement, and taxes. The other things that you can do is pay interest on any mortgage, rent, utilities, interest on debt that incurred or occurred prior to February 15th. If that 100,000 left over, if it's not forgiven, it's going to turn into a 2-year term loan. And if it's $100,000, your payments per month for 2 years is $4,113 a month. And that is a huge impact on your cash flow. So even though the interest is very low, the term can be very damaging. And remember, the money is there for payroll. So the reason they did that was to make sure that you're using the funds the way the SBA wants us to use it. Is that good enough, Marla?
That is wonderful. Keep going. We've got a lot of questions. We need you to get through the presentation.
Okay,
You're
well,
doing great. You're doing great.
I can take questions instead of going through the presentation.
Oh, that's
I can
fine.
follow your lead.
That's fine. So we have a few hands that are going up for the first time. So if you've already been able to get a few questions in, we'll get to your questions, but we want to try to give everyone a chance to get their questions in. Oh my gosh! So the questions, the hands are going up. So that's good. So Quinn, we want to unmic some of the people who have not had a chance to get their questions in.
Okay. This next one is from Anthony.
Yes. Hello. You hear me?
Hello. We can hear you.
Okay, great. Now, with the paycheck protection, if you have the money, if the money came in, and your employees, do you bring your employees back to work, or do they just stay home and you have to pay them?
You're supposed to bring them back to work. Now, we do understand that in a lot of cases, they're not able to come back to work. So yes, you are going to pay them because they shouldn't, if they're getting unemployment, they shouldn't be mixing funds. So if they're getting unemployment, fine. If they're not getting unemployment, then you need to pay them.
Okay, and they can return, because I do have work for my employees, so they need to come to work. Is that correct?
They need to come to work, but here's the thing. There's this health issue and safety issue. Make sure that you're complying with what you need to do in order for them to come back to work.
Okay, yes.
Okay, I think they call that the PPE.
Yes.
Okay, so make sure you're doing that before you bring them back into the workplace.
Okay, thank you very much.
And good luck with that. I'm glad to hear that you're opening, but keep that, social distance.
Yes,
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, we have a question from John.
Okay, John is so common. I just had to ask, is that me? Okay, hang on. My question is twofold. One, I'm familiar with the requirements for the PPP. Is all that paperwork required, all of everything, or is it, having some of that paperwork required to vouch that you actually are an independent contractor or self-employed person? Because that's the first part. And then the second part is about the EIDL loan. If you've already applied for the EIDL and you received your grant, at what point does someone from SBA say, okay, you're able to apply for the larger loan, and when would we expect to see what information is going to come forward? Because I haven't received anything from SBA or anybody else after I've applied.
Okay, so can you repeat the first part of the question again?
The first part is there's a list of things required.
Okay, got it.
Paperwork required. Is it all of those things or proof of any one of those things that you have?
It's all of those things.
Right. So
in other words, if
you would not be able to get the PPP loan.
Pardon me?
So you're saying without all the paperwork, 940s, 941s, everything that is listed, you're not eligible for PPP.
The 940 and the 941, there is no exception for that. Because if you're an employer, you're already getting those documents from the IRS. And
no, I'm a 1099.
Well, the 1099, on the 1099, we need your 2018 tax returns. and your Schedule C for 2019.
Mhm.
I'm
Okay,
not
got it.
looking at that screen anymore, so I'm not sure what other documents you're concerned with. A fictitious name filing statement, yes, we still need that. If you don't have a payroll summary per se, somehow we need to be able to prove the number of employees that you have. So in other words, when you say is all of it required, we need enough information that's going to tell us legally that you had 5 employees or 3 employees and what you paid them. That's what the 940 and the 941 do. The 941 tells us if there's anybody unemployed at this period in time. And I believe the 940 tells us the people that are employed that were employed prior to 215.
Okay.
What document is it that you're struggling with? Why don't we do it that way?
Well, it's just me. So again, I saw that if it's just a single person, which it is, just me, the documents that I don't have would be in that 941 category, because all I get is from, I rent apartments on Airbnb, I do coaching. So that all comes through to me through my business checking and all of that. I have all of that, but I don't have everything else that's being talked about, right?
Do you have employees?
I am the employee. I'm the
Okay.
only person in my company, me.
Okay,
so I apply
so
for me.
okay, that's fine. So submit the documents. I tell you what I will do. If you will pull together the documents, and we're going to give you a telephone number and my email address. If you'd like me to have someone, hello?
Yes, I hear you.
To look at those documents, we can look at it before you apply.
Perfect.
That's another extension of our services.
Awesome. I'm ready.
All right, so you'll get my email at the end and send me an email. Don't send me the documents yet.
Okay.
What we're going to do is assign you to an advisor. The advisor is going to take the time to look through the documents and make sure everything is there.
Clear.
Okay, you could go ahead and complete the application though, because you're going to have to download it, complete it anyway. Complete the application, which will help them to understand exactly how you're running your business and what documentation is needed.
Yeah, I've already submitted through PayPal. And the other part of the
Oh,
question,
you've already submitted it.
yeah, the initial, right? It's online. So I'm a PayPal customer. I do business through PayPal. So I sent it. The PayPal has it as an option to be a PPP loaner, but I haven't gotten anything.
Well, then I think then if you have applied with PayPal, I would check with them and see what the status is.
Yeah.
You don't need to reapply.
No, they just haven't asked for the paperwork yet. That's why I'm asking you.
Oh, I get it. Okay. Okay.
Right? Is
Did
all
you
of
do
that
it?
required versus I'm trying to get prepared for when they say, send me these documents. I'm asking, is all of that required, or can I send what I have and they can see verified that I am my own person? I have been running this business. It has been paying my bills up until COVID-19, and I need to get some relief for myself.
Okay, so here's what happens. PayPal knows you. So the documentation requests that they have may be significantly less than what we're asking for.
I'm hoping.
Okay, that's a good thing. So if you're prepared, or you can be prepared to submit the documents that they're asking for, knowing that they still need to get an answer to some of the questions that we're asking, but because you have a relationship, they already know how you're running your business.
Absolutely.
They know you. We don't. So we have to ask for extra documents to accommodate us getting to know exactly who you are and how you run your business.
Crystal. And I got that. Thank you. That's clear. And the only other part of it was the idle loan, which I was told that once you put the advance in, like I applied, got my advance for one employee, which is me. But then it was what the other SBA person said in a webinar when this first kicked off, that is in advance of the actual loan that you would be able to apply for later. And what I'm asking now is, okay, it's now 6 weeks later. How soon would I see some paperwork to apply for that bigger loan that's supposed to be holding me over from $1,000?
I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know. I'm assuming that, keep in mind, this new pool of funding that's coming to us also affected the EIDL loan program. So they didn't have any money either.
Gotcha.
So with the new pool of money, everything, the wheels will start rolling again. So you could hear something by Tuesday or Wednesday, because you said you applied over 6 weeks ago. I
Yeah,
would
well,
say,
soon as this happened, and I just received the advance of $1,000, so I know I'm in there. They already sent the money. I know I'm clear. I just wanted to know if there's any other process that, like, is someone going to say, okay, we've got your application. Here's the bigger loan application you need to fill out.
I don't believe there's another application that you need to fill out. I think what they need to do is assess how much your funding is going to be. Now, you do know that that is a loan.
Yes, I do.
Okay, very good. I would say wait patiently. Unfortunately, that's not a nice thing to tell a lot of small businesses right now, but know that everybody should be up and running and the wheels are running again, probably on Tuesday. We're expecting the money tomorrow, but if everything kicks off tomorrow, the portals are going to be really full, and the people that are going to be funded first are the people that are already in the pipeline. Okay?
I hope my question has answered a lot of other people's questions, but thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, this next one is from Helena.
Okay.
Helena, you'll have to unmute on your end as well. Or Helena? Okay, let's come back to
Hi. Hi. Are you there?
We're here.
Okay. Okay, great. Sorry, I was having issues. So I have a question relating to the PPP. So I am a single member LLC. I don't have employees. I use like my interns are part-time, but generally it's for credit. It's not, I don't pay them for their services, and they're not, full-time. So what I do is I take a draw. I don't pay myself a consistent paycheck. I don't have payroll, and I take a draw for funds that I need whenever I need them. So my question is, am I eligible to apply for the PPP, being as though I don't have a consistent method that I pay myself? That's kind of what I'm just like not understanding if I am eligible to apply.
You are eligible to apply, but what you're going to need to do is we're going to need to see bank statements. We're
Okay.
going to need to make sure that the funds are going into your business account. You're operating as a business, and we'll figure out what your from your 1099s. Are you getting a 1099?
So I did not file in 2019 for my my business is only it's a year and a half old, so I didn't file the 2019 taxes yet. I do receive like if I showed you all my bank statements, you could see what's coming in, what contracts I have, what I've been paid with my customers up to this point, but all of my contracts are basically stopped to this point. So I'm not receiving any income, that's what I'm.
So the comparison is going to be with whatever you earned in 2018, 2019, and the first couple of months of this year.
Okay, so 2018, I did not have my own company. I was employed by a different company. So in 2019, I formed my new company. So my tax return for 2018 is not going to show, it's not going to be consistent with what I would show 2019. It's not the same company, and it's not my company, the 2018 taxes.
Okay, so I would suggest that you find a way to prove to a lender that this is your income during that period of time. And with us, I know that the exception for you would be you're going to probably have to do your 2019 tax returns, or at least we don't have a comparison. So all we can do is look at your earnings for 2019 and your earnings for January, February.
Right. So if I owe money on my tax return. That's the thing, I'm going to owe. And so that's the reason why I didn't do them. That's the reason why
Well, owing taxes and applying for the program, one has no impact on the other one, because this is
okay. Sorry, I don't, you said that I would have to file my 2019 taxes. And I said the reason why I have not done that to this point is because I owe taxes on that money. I mean, I wasn't taking taxes out of money that I was getting from my customers. So I would have to file for 2019. And I haven't done that because I'm going to owe probably $8,000. And I don't want to take all of my savings from the business and pay for taxes for 2019.
okay. I probably need to talk to you more offline.
2019, I mean.
And
Okay.
then maybe have one of the advisors work with you on that, because one way or the other, we need to know, we need to be aware, we need documentation that supports the income and the payment to you, even though you're a sole proprietor, to you over a.
I'm not a sole proprietor. My business is an LLC.
Okay.
I'm a single member
So
LLC.
you have fictitious name filing and so forth.
And EIN and all that.
Right. Okay.
Right.
All
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to talk to you, or have one of our team members talk to you more depth.
Okay, that would be great. And then the next part is relating to the economic injury, the disaster loan. So I applied for that back on the 30th. I received $1,000 in my bank as the first part of it. Have not received anything up to this point. I did hear that, based on what you've already told people, that we'd be receiving emails. But to what the gentleman said prior, I'm just sort of trying to prepare what I would need to show. Is it similar to the PPP situation? Am I going to have to show all of those things? I just want to sort of prepare for when they ask. What am I going to need for that?
You're going to need proof that the income for the business is as you put in that application.
So I can show invoices, I can show bank statements, I can show all of that all of those things. I just don't have a tax return for 2019.
Helena, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to move on. We'll get Constance's contact information, but it's now 7:02.
I got it. Sure.
Right.
Got it.
So what we can do, Constance, can we take 2 more questions?
Sure. I'm all yours.
Okay. Sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take up all that time. But yes,
no, Helena, that's fine. We'll try to get get you connected to the people who can answer your very, very specific questions. We just, in a limited amount of time, we want to try to get through as many questions as we can. So Quinn, who's our next person?
Okay, I'm going to unmute Krute Shaw.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, good. So you can hear me. I have 2 parts question. I have 2 companies. One is company number 1. So I'm going to talk like that, company A and company B. So company A has 6 employees, including me and my wife, basically as employees. So we are 6 people. And company B has only 1 employee, which is me, myself. So I'm first going to ask the question for company A. So we started our PPP application on day 1 with our bank, with our current banking institution. And as of yesterday, that application, has not gone to SBA. And obviously the window was closed a couple of days ago. So that's why, our application may not have gone in. But we don't know, we were one of the, everybody we employ as consultants all their PPP loans have been approved. Ours has not even gone out of the bank. So my question is that, say that, we do and also, so we're based in Philadelphia, and our company is a certified minority and a women-owned business. So the question is that, I don't even know if my paperwork with my current bank is going to move forward, or how fast or not. We've been like emailing and calling them like multiple times every single day, trying to push our case forward, but we still haven't seen that it has gone, or they've finished approving it or not. My question is, can we do a parallel application through Lendistry? Because we got an email from 10,000 small businesses, which is ran by Goldman Sachs. And so the question was, can we apply through Goldman Sachs through Lendistry actually, as a minority business, and can we do that or not? That's my question number one.
Okay, so in answer to your question number one, we are asking people, you right now don't know if your bank has moved you forward because you haven't heard from them. And as I said before, this new money that's coming down put everybody pretty much on hold from dispersing anything. The portal was closed at the SBA. The portal should open tomorrow. So you could be getting a notification tomorrow that your loan has been approved and you're getting funding. You don't want to have parallel applications out there, because once the approval comes from the SBA or from your bank, we're processing another one. We get an approval, everything is going to stop, because you can't get two approvals.
Of
You
course.
don't want two approvals, but there's no way of stopping it.
The problem is that if I do not, like say my bank comes back from a week, that, you know what, we couldn't process your paperwork, or it didn't go through, we'll be in the boat where, like, in 2 rounds, we didn't get through.
Mm-hmm.
You
Well,
hear
I
what I'm saying?
mean, if you don't have an approval, like I said earlier on the phone, if you're honest with us and you tell us that you have an application with another institution, we're going to ask you to stay with that institution. Think about it this way. If there's millions of people out there applying, you don't want 2 people working on your application for your business, because that means that one other business isn't getting helped at all.
Of course.
Whereas you
And
have 2 organizations working on your behalf.
does the federal government give, like say both of these institutions get approved, does the government send money through both the institutions to that one business?
Probably.
Wouldn't they?
It's not
Wouldn't
gonna.
the EIN number like really regulate as to how much money my business should get?
Yeah, but you would be getting the same amount from 2 different places if it got that far.
Oh, really? That's bad.
Yeah, that's
bad
really
for many
bad.
other people who wouldn't get the money. Yes,
Exactly.
I agree to that.
Exactly. It just isn't fair. I know you want to find out what's going on, and I pride myself with the organization that I work for, that we have a system that is set up where you can actually go in and look at the status of your application. But it's just not fair for you to have 2 open applications. So I'm going to leave that up to you and your conscience to decide how you want to move forward.
No, I understand. I mean, my conscience tells me that the government should give me money only once, but my practical business mind tells me that I should apply from 2 places probably, so at least I get in. You know what I mean?
Well, like I said, the portal for us is not open. We're not funding anything either until we get a replenishment of money. And if the bank turns you down, more than likely it will be for the same reason we would turn you down.
No, it's not because why someone is turning me down. It's like the time factor is not getting into the. It's like we're standing in a queue, and I don't know if I keep getting pushed back or not for a certain reason or not. Like I don't know why my bank. I'm not blaming my bank over here right now, but on the same token, like why I'm not in the door when I was probably like I know that my application was in than many others whose application has already been approved. And I know that for a fact, actually.
So Kruti, what we're going to have to do is we need to get to the specific facts of the program and application. And we really can't spend the time on supposition at this point. We have people who just need the facts of the program. So we're getting
Maybe I'll
really
call like, later on and talk to an advisor. I don't know if there's a number that we can call in or not.
well,
There'll be a number.
we'll try to get some information for you. But at this point, we have one more question that we have to get to because we promised we would go until 7 and it's already 7:09. So
Can I ask one small question that is left on company B?
Kruti,
All
no,
right.
we have to move on and give this one last person a question, and then we'll be back tomorrow at 6 o'clock.
Okay, I'm calling on Elizabeth next. Unmuting you.
Thank you so much. There are 3 of us watching from the same account, so I appreciate you guys taking this question. So you said earlier that you could have, you bring the same number of employees back, and then I heard that the goal was to bring the same ones back. And I'm wondering if you need proof that you have actually asked those people to come back, so that you're trying to rehire. If the goal of the PPP loan is to bring the same people back, are we going to end up needing to ask all of those people that we had on payroll originally back? And are they going to want proof, like an email or some evidence of this?
Okay, so your 940 and your 941 tells the lender exactly who was on your team at the time that you received the funds. So yes, they are going to do a comparison. They're going to ask you to give them a current 940, 941, which is something you get every quarter. So between 2:15 and 6:30, they're going to be looking for the same names. At minimum, they're going to be looking for the same number of employees.
Okay, so this is where it gets a little confusing, and I think I speak on behalf of a lot of small business owners on this one, because on the one hand, I'm hearing you can hire back who you want. You can hire who you want. It needs to be the same number. But then on the other hand, I'm hearing the goal is to get your old same employees back on payroll. And in my case, and I wrote this in the comments, there were 3 of my employees that I was kind of happy about this because they weren't good. And so this kind of like exited them out, and I was looking for a way to replace them. So
are you terminating them?
I didn't terminate them because of this. And 2 of them quit right before this, which was great, because so for the ones that quit and the one that there was one that was terminated that I was looking to replace, is it okay for me to find new people to replace them at this time?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so, especially in the case where there are 2 that quit. The 2 people that resigned on their own, you need to replace those 2 people.
Right.
The person that you're questioning whether or not you want them back, or are you questioning whether or not they want to come back?
There's a conflict for a small business owner, because this $600 extra for my business, for these people on unemployment, that makes it really hard for them to want to come back. Right. So some of them I'm asking, and they're deciding. And I just want to make sure that I do this all the right way. If the goal is to bring the same people back, 2 of the people quit. One of the people was fired, and this was all in February, like right before this happened. Those 3, it sounds like, fine, replace them. The rest of them, I'm wondering if I need to offer all of the people that were on my staff work first, and I need to be able to document that with like an email, or they said no, or they said they wanted to work this before hiring other people.
Well, it sounds to me, and I don't think there's any guidance on that. I will look into it, and I will also let PIDC know as well. All I know right now is the expectation is that you will have the same number of employees. We have an expectation that some people are not going to go back. You are not under any obligation to make them to pressure them into coming back. If they choose not to come back, they choose not to come back. And keep in mind that extra $600 that they're getting is only good for 26 weeks.
Yeah, I know, but it is, I will tell you that this is a conflict to them wanting to come back because
Well, yeah.
26 weeks is a lot longer than you promising them, hey, I've got 8 weeks that I can promise you. But
Right.
whatever, you didn't write the policy. Thank you for taking my question. I know that we're over time. I'll come back tomorrow if I have more. You've been amazing.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thanks.
Hey, Quinn, we want to say thank you to Constance. I mean, when we do workshops at PIDC, we always get the chance to thank our presenters. So let's unmute everybody and say thank you to Constance.
Thank you.
Ooh, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And you're going to close us out?
Yes, I want to say thank you again, as Marla just did, to Constance. That was really informative. Hopefully we answered a lot of those questions that folks had. And we really appreciate also, Constance, the offer of being able to follow up on some of the tricky ones or some of the ones that really need a little bit more individual attention.
Okay.
So I want to thank everybody who took the time to come on tonight and get access to this information. I hope that this was helpful to you all. Please don't hesitate to continue to reach out to us with questions. Again, as Marla said, we're going to be here tomorrow night as well. So if you want to come back, listen in on more questions and get all the information that you need to be able to try to take advantage of this opportunity, we hope that you can do so.
Hold on there.
All right. Thank you
Hold
so
on.
much, everyone. And I'm
Quick-
going to turn it maybe
quick
back to
question.
Marla or Ronette for another goodbye.
No, that's it. We're done. So Constance, thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening in sunny
Marla?
California. Yes.
Marla, it's Karen.
Yes,
Does
ma'am.
Constance have an email address that we can reach out to her at?
Why don't I email it to Quinn? It's long.
Okay.
Okay, I'll email it to Quinn, and I'll also include a telephone number, and we'll take it from there.
You can circulate that. I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Got it.
Thank you.
Goodbye,
care.
everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Good night.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Constance, enjoy your evening in sunny Southern California.
Well, the sun is going down now, so not so sunny anymore. But thank you,
Okay.
guys. It's a pleasure. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Quinn.